Okay, today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to give you a short insight in our e-learning course for our hybrid electric vehicle trainer. As you see here now in this software, which is our own software, which was developed by Lucas Nuller long time ago, we are now basically developing a new one, so stay tuned for the absolutely new LabSoft, which will be soon hit the market. But for now, I just want to show you this awesome course, which is part of our one-stop solution for hybrid and electric vehicle training. What you see here is the e-learning course, as I said before, for our CarTrain hybrid and electric vehicle. As you see here, that's the article number, so this is connected directly to the article, and what you directly can see from the start page is that this course is aligned to the most important curriculums all around the world regarding hybrid and electric vehicle training. So we have the German DGUV, we have the UK IMI EV 1, 2, 3, which is also meaning the national as well as the international qualification. And of course, very important as well, we have the ACE L3 alignment for the USA. Basically, we have for all languages, or more for all curriculums, our own course or own course version. So when you really want to have the IMI courses, then we have this course especially aligned also from the optical side to the IMI EV courses, and as well for the ACE L3 courses. But just now let's start, because the content, and that's great all around the world, is basically the same. So it doesn't matter where you drive a Tesla or where you have to repair a Tesla, it always works the same. This is why these curriculums have big parallels with each other. And so we have used that and just make one course which fulfill all requirements. When we run through the course here, you get exactly at the beginning, you start with the hybrid electric vehicle trainer. So that's the CarTrain, what you see here. Here are some difference mentioned. Very important, if it's a long time ago you have run the trainer, or it's a long time ago that you've got the electric vehicle training for this trainer, here you see how to get started. So you have really videos which show how you can get the CarTrain into operation. So it's a step-by-step, very easy to understand. Even we're showing the fault simulation, so this is showing how you measure an insulation error, and very important, how you charge the batteries as well. We have an integrated measurement tool as well. So what you see here is basically our very complex and multi-purpose measurement unit. And what you can do here is basically what you can do with a real measurement system as well. So we have here 4 different channels, which can be a 4-channel oscilloscope, what you, for example, see here. So this is now, of course, in the simulation mode, as we have not connected the CarTrain. So that means you can use the course on simulation or in simulation mode. That means you don't have to connect the CarTrain and you can use it just for your own, or of course you use it in connection with the CarTrain. Here we can switch to 4-channel, and you see you have here now a 4-channel oscilloscope. We have different trigger options, we have here cursor options. This is really showing everything like a real oscilloscope would work. So everything is in here. The great benefit of this virtual version is that you even can save the signal, what you did measure here, inside the course under your user account. Beside this, we have also other tools which you see here. So I have voltmeter, ampere meter, dual voltmeter. We have different voltage sources, power supplies, and the connection is telling us that you can connect the whole system via USB or via Wi-Fi. So this is explained here, by the way. So this is showing you how to set up the Wi-Fi connection. That means that you can use this course on a tablet and connect this absolutely without any cables with the CarTrain, and then you are free to go. We have automated curriculum updates. That means, of course, this course is a living thing, so it's not once finished. That means we are always updating it. If we are seeing a new techniques, if there's a new safety operation or regulation or whatever, or some of the curriculums get updated, this will be directly flow into the course, and you have a lifetime guarantee that you can do a free update of it, of course. So that means just connect the computer to the internet, check the update page, and you're good to go. Then as well you can configure a network operation or a network connection. That means in the CarTrain, which you've seen before, so when we jump back to the equipment, you see here is a touch screen, a small touch screen. With this touch screen, you see the different energy flows, and you can do the OBD operations. You see the speed, you see the load of the vehicle, and much more things. But of course, if you have 10 or more people and they're standing around the CarTrain, this is a little bit hard to follow. So what you can do here, you can connect this per Ethernet cable or per router, which is integrated into the delivery, and you can then bring this little touch screen up on a big projector or another big screen in order to make it available to the whole class. The next point is that we have a look at the various experiments. I mean, if you compare that to a real car, you see with a real hybrid or electric vehicle, you can't do really, or you can't teach really well, because the operation or the task which you can do with students or non-high voltage professionals is really limited. Here you have a absolutely student-safe training systems, and a great thing about that is that you can do so many different experiments, and this is the bunch of experiments which you see here. So these are all the experiments which you can do, and if you are looking for a certain experiment, you can just use this page and navigate through it. Later on we will see how an experiment look like, for example, but these are the whole range of experiments plus list of diagnostic tasks. So these are all the faults which can be activated in the high voltage system of the CarTrain and can also be absolutely student safe done, or yeah, the students can run through it. Cool thing here as well, we have also practical task sheets. So what does this mean? We have here additional practical tasks which are completely generic. So that means you can just open these PDFs, print them out, and this works with any hybrid or electric vehicle. And the idea of these practical tasks are to have a direct link between the CarTrain and the real vehicle. So of course, our training system will never replace the car. It's like the red carpet to it. So here are the links between the experiments on the CarTrain, the practical task on the CarTrain, and the real car. So further on, it starts with introduction to hybrid electric vehicles. So here are certain of, this is an introductory chapter where you just get an input of reasons for development, types of hybrid electric vehicles, identification. How can you identify if it's a hybrid, an electric, or a normal combustion engine car? Furthermore, we have the identification of high voltage components and of course cables, high voltage cables. And here you see in our test area, we had certain cars which we just used to do videos to deliver the best practice and the best contents to our students or to our users. So we want to be always as close to the practice as possible, and this is why we reduce the text and we have absolutely upscaled the amount of videos and animations which we have put inside the chapters. Once you reach the end of a chapter, you see the chapter quiz. So that means at any big chapter you find a certain chapter quiz which is repeating the chapter. So that means here you as instructor or the students of course get a feedback if the students have understood it or not. And maybe when they have clicked too much here and it's still wrong, then they should repeat the chapter obviously. Next step would be the ready mode. Here you see as well that we always work with a lot of animations, so that's really important for us. This is just about setting the car into the ready mode. And here we have different possibilities or examples out of the field, how it looks at different cars, for example. And here directly we jump to experiments. So and this is just an example. You have seen the massive amount of different experiments before. So this experiment is just one example, and I just want to show you how easy it is to run through the experiment. So at first you have the preparation. It always starts with a setup animation which shows you what you have to do with the CarTrain. So it's basically the preparation of the CarTrain. Okay, there you see, it's really step by step, absolutely easy to understand, piece of cake. In the next thing, we have carrying out the experiment. So there, of course, we don't have to measure anything here. So you get a bunch of questions, and these questions are on the one side, they are directly linked to the experiment. So they are taking you through the experiment. And on the other side, you have the evaluation question. So that means this is what you learn out of the experiment. Okay, we go on here, driver interface, there's much more. Here we have a page of the practical task where you directly would now print out the PDFs and go to the real car. One of the most important chapters is of course safe handling of high voltage systems. And there are many different things, work categories, current path through human body. So where we're showing, okay, how can the current run through the body? What's the difference between AC and DC? Electrical isolation. And this is the video which my good friend and colleague Daniel has posted. And this is where we just want to show, like before with the Prius, but here it's now a serious thing. This is where we really want to show what can happen, why high voltage is dangerous, and why you need such a good qualification. Here in the case, there is a cable removed without interlock under load. And yeah, well, I think the video is speaking for itself, isn't it? Okay, let's go on. We have risk assessment here, famous example what happened or how the firefighters react when a hybrid car, in that case BMW i8, starts burning. We have here a lot of stuff which is related to first responders or emergency cases. But there is a new CarTrain coming as well, so we are just now in the developing of an additional CarTrain, which is just for first responders. If you go to the different curriculums, so in Germany it would be stage or level 1, what this CarTrain is then especially for, and from the UK perspective, from the IMI perspective, it would be the qualification EV 2.1, which is especially for first responders, and this is where the whole CarTrain or the whole course is just for first responders. Here we just have a little glimpse out of this topic. Very important for the automotive electrician or technician are of course the PPE, the personal protective equipment. And there we go in great detail again. Gloves, testing gloves, so there you see what should be on it. Another experiment where you really learn to check the gloves to understand what it needs to be. Safety glasses, overalls, safety footwear, fiberglass pole, lockout tags, lockout box. Here again, nice animations. You find it everywhere. It's like Easter. On each page you can find a great surprise about what cool animation could be there. Buffer zone and warning signs. And here you have the chance directly to print out the different warning signs. Depends on the country where you are, of course. Measuring and test equipment. Okay, let's go on. High voltage disconnect procedure, another really important chapter. So where you see, we start with a practical example of the Toyota Prius, for example. How do you shut down the high voltage system at the Prius 4, for example? So yeah, here you see it, just the small steps, what I did there. Then we're talking about ignition keys, high voltage disconnect devices, very important. There are many different throughout the market. Here we have explained everything. And of course what we do here as well, closer look at the high voltage service plug, because here we are using a real service plug on this vehicle, of course. There you see, we pull it out and we have the chance here once on the animation or in the animation, but the idea is then really to understand in practice what this service plug is about. 12 volt disconnect devices, here older picture from a BMW i3 and down here newer one from a Mercedes-Benz. Isolation carried out by the tester, even this can be done with our CarTrain, so you have all the necessary shutdown procedures are more or less integrated in there. Also our first responder disconnects, of course, pretty important as well. And then we jump over to the techniques, so battery systems, purpose and function, typical high voltage levels, interconnection of cells. So how are the cells interconnect with each other? Here we just repeat series connection, parallel connection, but what happens actually in the real car is a mix of both, which you see here as well. Lifespan of the cell. So that's pretty interesting if you run through that page here as well. It's showing the depth of discharge compared to the state of charge and the cycles. And it's basically when you always, when you 100% unload or deload the cell, and at the same time you have a state of charge, so you upload it up to 100%, so you use the full range basically. This is showing the full range of the battery capacity. You just have 400 life cycles, so that's pretty interesting. When you now don't charge it up to, or don't charge it up to 100%, let's say just to 80%, which is typical, then you have suddenly 3000 life cycles. And then when you go that you do not discharge the battery completely, then, and you just use 70%, then you are suddenly at 6000 cycles, and which is increasing the life of the single cells absolutely, yeah, massively. Which is in my eyes very interesting thing. Storage, battery hazards, thermal runaway, very interesting here again. What can happen when there's a thermal runaway? And this is a little, yeah, small battery which you see here. But I was freaking out the first time I've seen that, how massive the explosion is. Wow. Classification of thermal problems, really important. Before the car get into the workshop and you are the person in charge who has to decide what happens here, you definitely have to take care of if there is any issue or probably any issue with the temperature. You have to check if we have on the one hand an electrical problem, so it's not the battery, it's just a sensor. And this can you see, for example, when you monitor the temperature and you see that just one sensor is critical and all the others are cool, basically. When we have damaged battery cells, then you will have the following thing happen. Then you see, wow, okay, there's not just one cell, there's a high load at different cells which are really heating up, and then you have to be absolutely careful because then you're running into a thermal runaway. And once the high voltage battery caught fire inside the workshop, the nightmare begins. High voltage battery leakage, transportation, type of material, so the different materials, of course, type of construction. Here our really nice cells of Toyota from the Prius 3, sorry guys. Round cells, Tesla for example, pouch cell. I think it's Nissan Leaf when I'm not, when I'm not wrong. Built-in protection, very nice. What you see here, the little thing at the Tesla, which is really clever at the Tesla basically. And if you just see this amount, this high amount of the different cells, this is just really amazing. And here, this is what I said before, built-in protection. This is why you should, when you have the chance, take out the Prius 3 high voltage service plug or the Audi one. There you have a 125 amperage fuse inside the high voltage service plug. Little note here, this is different to the Prius 4. The Prius 4 has a very, the high voltage plug is much more smaller, and you find the fuse inside the high voltage battery basically. Battery management. Okay, what do we have here? State of charge, really interesting, which showing you what we have seen before basically about the charge limit and the decharge limit basically. Yeah, what you see here, so what the car shows as 100% is basically 80%. State of health, also very important. So the cell will become more or less, it will get weaker over the time. And this is showing the state of health. Then we have voltage sensors, temperature sensors, temperature management, high voltage contact relays, really interesting here as well. Jump starting of a hybrid electric vehicle, also absolutely important to mention. Different battery diagnostics, 12-volt battery diagnostics. So you see, everything is in here, really there's no excuse. And then we jump to the power electronics, high voltage cables, shielding, electric motors, and that's a nice thing. So why is electric motor turning? And Oh God, we don't use here much text, just let the animation speak. I don't have to tell you much. Okay, we have here the first phase, and you see there's a sinus running over it. So we have a magnetic field which goes in the one direction and the other direction. Do we see here any kind of turn? Of course not. Impossible to understand it here. So we add the second phase. Same thing, just a shift of 120 degrees. And now we see, okay, yeah, here's movement in it. And then the third phase is added. And now we are there, basically. Because now when you follow the arrows, there you see now that you get a magnetic force which going in a circle. And this you see then at least in a rotating magnetic field. Amazing animation, it's so easy to explain, and really every student got that just by now and then. So it's so cool to explain it in that way. Synchronous motors, asynchronous motors, of course. What's different there? Of course, the rotor. And there are some bits and pieces which is pretty interesting about this kind of motor. So you should really get into it when you have the course. Resolvers and encoders, really important for the synchronous motor or for the synchronous rotor in order to determine where the rotor is right now in the magnetic field, or in compared from rotor to stator, basically. Regenerative braking, really cool. What we did here, don't do that at home. We were here on a test drive area and we connect up a measurement tool to our test Prius here, basically. And yeah, what we see here is just the regenerative braking, the recuperation, basically. So you have to see 1 millivolt is equals 1 amperage, and you see then when Daniel is really hard braking, how high it goes up in order to create a really high current which goes back into the battery. Function of it. So when do we do the recuperation? When we do the hydraulic braking. Limits of it. And of course the operation. So that's pretty cool to see. When we just start here the animation, you see, okay, we accelerate. And you see the signal from the inverter now. So we have a PWM here, basically, which also follows the shape of sinus, of course. Coasting, so no acceleration anymore. And then we push the bloody brake soon, right? Come on, guy, now. And what you see here, and that's fantastic, it's the same. We still, even when we do the recuperation, we still have the PWM and the inverter is working. So don't let you tell from any kind of books there will be a sinus and a 6-pulse rectifying. That's completely bullshit. What you see in here is the acceleration and the braking is exactly the same from the inverter. It just moves into different directions. So of course amplitude and frequency is changing, and this is just, yeah, against each other, basically. But the signal is never a sinus, it's always the PWM from the inverter. Little X-course here. There's also experiment coming for it. Then we have inverters. I will just jump over that now in order not to make it too long here. We have electrical interlocks, really nice. Cool, how does an electric interlock work? We have an output here of 1.5 volts, so that means everything is fine here. All the interlock is everywhere shut. So now we open the inverter. Now we have 2.5. We close it again. We open the air conditioning, the high voltage air conditioning, 3.75. And now we open suddenly the inverter back again. 4.75. And there you see now how the car or how the interlock is operating. Just through the different, because each situation has or is causing a different voltage. And that means now, what does it mean? The car does exactly know where you have interrupted the interlock. Diagnostic here as well, it's always about diagnostics, really important. Potential equalization, also very important, don't underrate that topic. It's absolutely important. And at the very end, we're also taking care of the whole topic regarding charging. Design of the charge unit, hybrid supporting systems as well. So when we just jump back here, we have the different types of connectors. And we have even the chance to measure into the charging process. So what you can do here on the CarTrain exclusively, and that's not possible of course on a real car, we can measure the control pilot. And there you see the communication between the charging station and the vehicle. So this is what happens here. So yeah, you have a real charging connection. So on the US version we would have here type 1 of course, but here we going to it. CP contact, CP contact of the charging station. There you see now how we do the measurement here. So just easy to connect it up to the measuring tool. Then you click here and you have direct the oscilloscope. And if you once have measured the oscilloscope, what you're doing here, copy, and then whop, you have saved the picture in here. Here of course I don't have connected the hardware, there is no measurement, but I think you get it what I mean. Then we have the supporting hybrid system, and at the very end, of course, repetition. So what we give you here is that you also have the chance to repeat all the principle of electrotechnics, which is important to understand the hybrid electric vehicle. We all know that maybe when you start a new class about hybrid electric vehicles, that there are maybe some guys or girls which have a little small lack of understanding regarding all this fundamental electronic topics. And here we have everything at the hand, so you can directly use that. You don't need any other book. So this is what we call a complete solution. And when you run through this whole solution here, I think you have round about 70 or 80 hours time which you have invested. And the great thing, when you are done with that, like I said, it's a complete solution. Then you are absolutely expert for hybrid electric vehicle. And then just go out to the real cars, do the qualification and do the hands-on training on the real vehicle. So, but here with this course, you have the best step and the best preparation worldwide before approaching to the real car. And this is not only saying us, Lukas Niller, this is also the feedback from all the car manufacturers around the world. Doesn't matter if it's McLaren, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Volkswagen. What else? We have truck companies who is using that systems and in their own design. So you can get your own car or your special car on the front panel, of course. So Fuso. That was what I'm looking for. Fuso has it as well. Many schools all around the world. Tesla is the Tesla school in the US as well is working with that system. And never mind, of course, this system is the official trainer for Skills USA. So, and after Skills USA, it also came to World Skills, Skills Germany, and even when there wouldn't be Corona, it had also been at other skills competitions all around the world. So I hope you liked the quick look, the quick insight into the course. You see, even this video is not really a short video, but this is just because a complete solution needs a little bit time to explain. I hope you enjoy it and have a great day.